Elizabeth had always been the kind of person who carried storms behind her eyes, quiet, calm, and unreadable, yet filled with the kind of intensity that made people curious from the moment they met her. She moved through life with a silent confidence, as if she understood something the rest of the world had yet to discover. Some called her mysterious, others called her gifted, but Elizabeth knew she was simply different. And as she walked through the small town she had lived in all her life, she felt the weight of something shifting within her, as if destiny itself had begun to whisper her name. From the outside, her life looked perfectly ordinary. She lived in an old house covered in ivy, worked at the little bookstore on Willow Street, and spent most of her evenings reading by the window. Yet nothing about Elizabeth was ordinary. Every book she touched seemed to tell her more than what was written. Every person she met seemed to reveal their truth without speaking a word. It was as though the world unfolded itself before her in ways most people never noticed. She didn't know why, she only knew that this strange ability had been with her since childhood. The town had always regarded her with a mix of fascination and superstition. Some people believed she could predict events before they happened. Others believed she could sense emotions with uncanny accuracy. And while she never claimed to hold any magical power, she also never denied that she could feel things, deeply, intensely, and sometimes painfully. She carried the burdens of others silently, like a secret guardian the town never realized it had. One autumn evening, as the sky burned orange and gold, something unusual happened. A visitor arrived, a stranger, tall and quiet, with eyes that held a history she couldn't read. For the first time in years, someone stood before Elizabeth whose thoughts she could not sense, whose past she could not glimpse, whose presence felt like a locked door she had no key for. It startled her, intrigued her, and unsettled her all at once. She felt her world tilt, as if fate had just stepped onto the stage. The stranger introduced himself simply as Adrian, a traveler passing through. But Elizabeth sensed that wasn't the full truth. There was something powerful about him, something controlled, something that made him seem both familiar and foreign. The townspeople noticed too. They whispered, they speculated, and they watched from behind their curtains. They were used to Elizabeth knowing everything about everyone, yet suddenly she was the one left wondering. Over the following days, Elizabeth found herself drawn to Adrian in ways she didn't expect. He appeared at the bookstore often, asking about old myths, forgotten legends, and books that had long been left untouched. He asked questions that made her pause, questions that hinted he knew more about her than he let on. And every time she looked into his eyes, she felt a strange pull, as if a part of her past had been waiting for this moment. One evening, as rain drummed against the windows, Adrian finally asked the question she felt coming. "Do you know why people here whisper your name like it carries weight?" Elizabeth hesitated. She had spent years avoiding the real truth about herself, burying it beneath routine and quiet solitude. But something about Adrian made her feel seen, understood, and no longer alone with her secrets. She didn't answer directly, but she didn't deny anything either. Adrian then revealed something she did not expect. He had been searching for her. Not by name, but by presence. He spoke of ancient gifts passed down through bloodlines, gifts that mirrored her own, gifts that allowed certain people to feel the world in ways others could not. He spoke of manuscripts he had studied, of signs he had followed, all pointing to the existence of someone like her. And from the moment he stepped into the town, he knew it was Elizabeth. The revelation shook her. She had spent her entire life believing she was alone, believing her ability was an unexplained oddity she had to hide. Now, standing before her was someone who not only understood, but belonged to the same world she never knew existed. A world of intuition, ancient knowledge, and profound perception. A world she was born into without ever choosing. But with Adrian's truth came a warning: there were others searching too. People who sought to use gifts like hers for power, control, and influence. People who believed Elizabeth was the missing piece of something far greater than she imagined. Her quiet life, her little bookstore, and her peaceful existence were all about to be threatened. Destiny had found her, and it refused to let her stay hidden. Fear crept into Elizabeth's heart, but so did courage. For the first time, she understood why she had always felt out of place, why the town watched her, why her instincts often felt larger than life. Her ability wasn't a burden, it was a calling. And the arrival of Adrian marked the beginning of a path she could no longer avoid. In the days that followed, Elizabeth began learning more about her gift. Adrian taught her how to control it, how to protect herself from emotional overload, and how to sharpen her senses without being consumed by them. She realized her intuition wasn't just a feeling, it was a power that could guide her, shield her, and even reveal truths hidden from the world. As she grew stronger, so did the bond between her and Adrian. It wasn't romance, not yet, but something deeper. A connection between two souls who recognized each other long before they ever met. Together they formed a quiet alliance, preparing for whatever forces might come looking for her. And with every lesson she learned, Elizabeth felt the fog around her life begin to lift. But the calm didn't last. One night, under a moon that glowed like silver fire, Elizabeth sensed something she had never felt before, a darkness approaching, steady and deliberate. It was a presence, an energy, a shadow searching for her. And in that moment, she understood, her life would never return to what it once was. She had been found. Elizabeth stood tall, unafraid. She was no longer the mysterious girl in the old ivy-covered house. She was someone awakened, empowered, and ready for the storm that had followed her all her life. And as the wind howled beyond her window, she whispered to herself the truth she finally accepted: not all destinies are chosen, but some are embraced.